Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time for another Transformers Kingdom review, and we're taking a look this time at Soundwave. Now Soundwave, of course, is part of the Core Class series, so he's about the same size as the small versions of Starscream and Megatron and Optimus Prime. So he'll be about to scale with the Arc toy that is now available. But of course, since Soundwave is from Generation 1, we'll have to take a look at him next to his original toy. For the benefit of those that are new here, the Generation 1 version of Soundwave, this one right here, was released back in 1984. He would be among the first wave of Transformer figures, and was an instant hit at the time, especially as he had the unique gimmick of that he could carry a cassette minion inside his chest. Hasbro would play up on it with him and his Autobot counterpart, Blaster, by continuously releasing new cassette figures. That way you would have an ever-growing army of small figures that the two could command. Now, taking a look at the two of them side by side, they do look pretty well alike, save for a few differences. The Core Class 1 has red eyes, which are more in line with his Generation 1 cartoon appearance, whereas the original toy has yellow eyes. They've also allowed the feet on this Kingdom Soundwave to be slid backwards a bit more, whereas they're more prominent here on the original toy. But of course, the original toy had die-cast metal feet, so that kind of helps him stay standing up. And while on the original you had a special button to press to open up the tape deck, for this one you have to do it manually. The button does not function. And as you can see, he does include a cassette. It's painted up with a slight red tint on it, so that's implying it to be Laserbeak, which makes some sort of sense, as Laserbeak was usually the most common one to be deployed. It's a partial homage to the original toy, but the original toy came with Buzzsaw, the other bird. Now, of course, some of you may be wondering if this is the smallest Transformer out there. Well, for one, this doesn't transform at all. This little cassette tape does not transform. So it's static. So it doesn't count as a Transformer. However, I do happen to have the world's smallest Soundwave right here. As you can see, it's even smaller than the Kingdom one. And he, in fact, does have the world's smallest Transformer inside him, if he will let it out for me. He's a bit of a pain to get this open with. There it goes. Right here is the world's smallest Transformer. And it is a small version of Ravage. And even when compared to the Laserbeak cassette, it is considerably smaller. So, question defunct. Let's briefly take a look at Soundwave's accessories. Of course, the first one we should cover here is, of course, Laserbeak. he will already come pre-packaged inside Soundwave, so if you buy him brand new off the shelf, make sure to pop open the tape deck and you should find him in there. Next accessory that we'll take a look at here is his missile launcher. In the original toy, this doubled as one of the batteries for the toy. It looks pretty similar to the original, save for the fact that they took the trouble to paint the missile ends, whereas on the original toy they did not. And then, of course, lastly, we have his gun, which was described in the Generation 1 era as a concussion cannon. Excuse me. Allergy season, folks. Anyway, the original one would expand outward a bit, and this gray piece was a separate piece on the original toy. So it's kind of nice to see them merge together like this. However, they don't merge onto him as batteries. And you'll soon see that when we transform him. But first, let's take a look at Soundwave's articulation. His head can be turned from side to side with relative ease, and it can rock up and down a bit. His arms can be raised out about so far, and he can rotate at the shoulder all the way around. Soundwave can bend his arm at the elbow 90 degrees, and his elbow is on a bit of a ball joint. He does have a bit of a swivel at the bicep, so he has the famous G.I. Joe battle grip. Unfortunately, due to the gimmick of him opening up the chest plate, the way it's positioned, he cannot be twisted at his hips. His legs can be spread apart into a full splits. His legs do rotate at the thigh. You can raise his leg up at the hip, just under 90 degrees, because the plate here on his hip won't move. And you can bend him at the knee 90 degrees. So all in all, Soundwave here does have a fair amount of articulation. Alright, now let's transform Soundwave. And this one's actually about as easy to transform as the original toy is. You'll take his head and you're going to turn it around so it's facing the back. And then you will fold it down into this cavity here on his backside. We'll turn him around for a second so that we can fold his fists into his arms. And then you bring his arms back at the shoulder. And they should rest up against this central cavity. Then we'll turn him around here, and you're going to twist his legs at the thigh like so that this large silver part is facing us. Then, of course, once we've done that, we'll put him in a full splits, and then you're going to bend the leg at the knee to line it up with this. There's a post here on the side of his chest, and then there's a hole in the side of the leg. So you're going to try to line those up and plug them in. And then, of course, once you've done that, you fold his feet downwards, like so. And that puts Soundwave into his alternate mode, which is to look something close to a Sony Walkman mini cassette player recorder from the 1970s. pretty much what the original one looked like. For any of you who are wondering about why would he look like something that old, the original Soundwave toy was released in Japan in 1975. So, that's why he looked like that. And he could easily be played off as a Sony Walkman. In fact, the Japanese originals of this toy did come with fake earphones. So, you did have that going for you back then. You could truly pretend you were listening to music. I wonder how many did. Then at any rate, one other thing you can do is, while he doesn't have the battery area like the original toy did, this one does have a couple of holes in the back, and that's where you can plug in the weapons. You just simply line up the holes with the posts, and you can plug in Soundwave's weapons, and then he won't lose them. And of course, while in this mode, pop open the tape deck, and we can insert Beak. And there we go. All complete for his reconnaissance mission. Now we get down to my thoughts about Soundwave, and I like the fact that they have brought Soundwave back, especially to bring him back in his relatively dated Generation 1 mode. It is a very nice toy, I will give it that. There are a lot of fans that have complained about the fact that the feet stick out a little bit on the sides, and yeah, I can understand that gripe about it, but it's really minor in comparison to a lot of things. I mean, it's still a great representation of what the original toy looked like, and we do get a working tape deck thing. It just would have been nice if we could have gotten something where we could attach Beak to make it look like he is being ejected out. I'm sure some third-party group is working on something to be clipped on for a nice display piece. If I have any gripes with the core class in general, it's the fact that they've been favoring the Decepticons more than the Autobots. The Decepticons have 3 figures, and the Autobots only have 1. It's kind of, Hasbro, isn't it about high time you start putting out some Autobot figures? I mean, these guys are made to be to scale with the Ark, and the Ark was the Autobot headquarters. Why don't we have some more Autobots? But at any rate, this is still a great toy, just unfortunately very hard to find on the shelves. And that's my review of the Kingdom version of Soundwave. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And at this point, I also remind you, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, because we do appreciate the feedback here at the channel. This is Sparkster1701 reminding you that even if you are an old dated fossil like Soundwave, or even myself, you can still make a difference and be an inspiration to others. I know I certainly have done my part with this channel, and I hope many of you out there are doing that as well. Keep your lives awesome, my viewers. I'll catch you all later.